Am I the asshole for yelling at my wife when she didn't back me up after our friend almost pushed me into a pool? I, 34 male, have never been a strong swimmer. I can tread water if needed, but I genuinely avoid swimming when possible. This is something my wife, Anna, 32 female, knows and has always respected. Last weekend, we were at a barbecue at our friends Dave and Sarah's house. They have a nice backyard pool, and most people were planning to swim. I politely declined when everyone started changing into swimwear, saying I'd just hang out poolside. My wife went swimming with the others while I enjoyed watching from a safe distance. After about an hour, my friend Dave started insisting that I join them. I kept saying no, explaining I wasn't comfortable swimming. He laughed it off and said, "Come on, don't be boring." I continued to refuse, getting increasingly uncomfortable with his pressuring. Things escalated when Dave started approaching me with his mischievous grin, saying, "Sometimes you just need a little push." He actually grabbed my arm and started pulling me towards the pool. I panicked and pulled away, nearly falling in the process. I was genuinely frightened and shouted for him to stop. What upset me most was that my wife was right there, watching this happen, and said nothing. She was laughing along with everyone else like it was just a joke. I felt completely betrayed that she didn't step in when she knows how comfortable I am with swimming. After we got home, I confronted her. I'll admit I raised my voice significantly. I said something like, "How could you just stand there while Dave was trying to force me into the pool? You know I hate swimming. You're supposed to have my back." She got all defensive and said I was overreacting and that Dave was just having fun. This made me even angrier, and I ended up sleeping on the couch. The next day, she told me I embarrassed her by making a scene and then yelled at her afterwards. She's now saying I should apologize to her and to Dave for ruining the vibe at the party. I don't think I'm wrong for expecting my wife to stand up for me, but maybe I shouldn't have yelled, so am I the asshole?
Oh my god. Fuck the vibes. Who cares about the vibes? When it's literally your husband who nearly had a panic attack about going into the pool. This is a genuine fear he has.
Yeah, I feel like this is a little bit more than I generally avoid swimming because I'm not a strong swimmer. This sounds like he's terrified of the water.
He's afraid, yeah.
It's not... I have never been a strong swimmer. I can tread water if needed, but I generally avoid swimming. This sounds like you're terrified.
Yeah, and what really bothers me here is that, like, he said, "I'm not comfortable swimming," to Dave. And Dave said, "You just need a little push."
But this also means that, like, he would have been fully dressed and Dave's trying to, like, drag him into the pool.
Well, you've done that to your dad. You push him into the pool.
We were having a pool party and
he was fully dressed and they're having a pool party.
He was at his own home and he could change into his bathing suit. He was going to go swimming at some point. And I know how my dad reacts. My dad was cool with it. He was chill.
I know, but you're using that he was fully clothed as an excuse.
I made sure that he didn't have his cell phone in his pocket.
Yeah, that was very kind
But it
of
wouldn't
you.
have mattered because they're waterproof now. And I also didn't try and drag him in the pool. I did it
You pushed him.
Yeah, but I did it so fast he couldn't resist.
Against his will.
Also, most valid point. I knew my dad's reaction.
Most valid point.
I knew my dad's reaction. Okay.
No, I know. I'm not shaming you for that. I'm just saying that you
sometimes so that's why
you're using this.
I agree. So I'm kind of torn on this one because part of me is like,
no. Okay, no.
At first you could like.
I'm not urging you to be torn. I'm just what the hell, bro? I'm saying that you are using that he's fully clothed as a reason that he shouldn't be pushed.
Yeah.
But that hasn't stopped you before.
Fair. There's different circumstances.
No, you should not be changing your mind about this story because this is very wrong.
I've been kind of in the middle because my point is he was wearing his clothes. So he's not ready to go swimming. It's not like he's like in his swim shorts and he's like, I'm going to tan over here. I don't really want to go in the water pool. He had zero intentions of going swimming. My dad had intentions of going swimming later, just saying. But he had zero intentions of going swimming. He's like, yo, I'm going to stay over here watching from a safe distance. This dude's terrified. He's not even like, okay, I feel like somebody who is not a strong swimmer, they're like, okay, I'll come chill in the shallow end. I'll come into the pool. I'm just not going to go over into the deep end. I'm just going to, chill and we'll chat. This dude sounds like he's actually terrified of being inside water. That's different from not being a strong swimmer.
And it's really weird that the wife didn't... She was a coward. She didn't stand up for him at all. Didn't tell Dave to stop. If this is how afraid he is within, like, in bodies of water, she has to know this.
Right.
I don't think that there was ever a point where, like, that there was never a point where they didn't experience this together. Like,
exactly.
This had to come up.
He said she
They're
knows.
married.
He said she knows.
Yeah, but just like the verbiage, like, I'm not a strong swimmer. I can tread water if needed. And Anna knows this.
And then I was watching from a safe distance.
So, like, did Anna know this to this extreme?
That's what I'm wondering too.
Yeah, I think regardless though, she should have definitely stood up for him, especially after, like, he got upset and, like, almost fell, like, trying to escape. Like,
exactly.
You're okay. Like, yes, at this point you should have came in earlier. I'm sorry, you should have butted in earlier. But at this point, you should definitely be like, "Whoa, Dave, relax. Like,
leave him alone.
Leave him alone.
Yeah, he's terrified
That's
of the water.
your partner.
Exactly.
That's like, you can't be a coward like that.
If he's just, like, not really a strong swimmer, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like there was a middle ground, but then it got passed. Mm-hmm. Like, is it terrible for somebody at the pool party to want to encourage the one person who doesn't want to swim to come into the pool?
Yes.
Is that terrible to do?
I honestly think so, because I'm kind of relating this to, like, me not being able to drink, and people just constantly be like, "Oh, just have one drink. Just have one drink. It's not going to do you any harm."
Okay, but let's use that example, and we go to the family function tomorrow. Or we go to a function, okay? And somebody that we don't usually hang around is like, "Hey, Teresa, why don't you have a drink?"
Okay.
And you're like, "Oh, no, I'm good, thank you."
And I say, "No, it gives me heart palpitations. I can't," because that's the equivalent to him saying, "I'm uncomfortable in water."
Yeah, okay. I was saying, like, it's okay for them to say, like, one time. I'm not going to harass you about it.
Yeah.
But they already asked me if you want to go in the water.
Yes.
Yeah. I am thinking over here, like, they asked him one time to go in the water. He said, "No, I'm good." And then, like, yeah, that should be good. Like, maybe one other time you say, like, "Come on.
I think it's fine to ask.
Come get in the pool. Like, you're missing out." But, like, I don't think you should be throwing anybody in the pool unless they're, like, in their swimsuit or bathing suit. And they're
comfortable in the water.
And they just haven't got in the pool yet.
I also don't think you should be assuming that everybody is comfortable in water. Just because they're in a swimsuit doesn't mean that they are going in the deep end.
True. Very true. I would also say, like, as funny as it is getting people in the pool, and, like, I grew up with that as a kid, like, man, horrible accidents do happen.
Yes.
Like, it could be a pretty solid, safe practice to try to not throw people into a pool when they're going to be, like, resisting. Because it's when the resistance happens is when accidents happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Heads get cracked
honestly
open.
Don't think that this should be a thing.
Yeah. So their top comment, sometimes, quote, "dick punch" is the right answer.
Dick punch?
Punch Dave in the dick.
I could get behind that.
Another top comment says, "Nah, in this case, a better option is pulling a 'This is Sparta'."
This is what?
Sparta.
Oh.
From 300, the movie. It was "This is Sparta," and then he kicks the dude down the pit, and he falls down the pit.
They don't need to see your sockless feet.
Not only gets them off you, it turns them into the butt of the joke as well.
Madness. This is Sparta!
So the update. It's been a few days since my original post, and I wanted to give an update on the situation with my wife and Dave. First, I want to thank everyone for their comments and insights. I'm sorry I don't have time to respond to each comment. I also appreciate the Redditors saying that I'm weak and should start standing up for myself. Not gonna lie, maybe there's some truth in that. However, reading the different perspectives helped me reflect on the situation more clearly. After taking some time to cool down, I decided to have a proper conversation with my wife. We sat down after dinner and I made sure to approach the topic calmly. I started by apologizing for yelling at her. I explained that while I was hurt by her not stepping in, my reaction wasn't constructive and I should not have raised my voice. Anna listened and then opened up. She admitted she hadn't realized how genuinely frightened I was in the moment. She thought I was just being stubborn about swimming and that Dave was trying to lighten the mood. She said she could see now his actions crossed a line, and she apologized for not supporting me when I needed her. We had a deeper conversation about boundaries and how important it is to back each other up in social situations. She promised me to be more attentive in situations that make me uncomfortable, and I promised to communicate my feelings before they escalate to shouting. It was actually a really productive conversation that brought us closer. As for Dave, he called me the other day. I thought he might be calling to apologize, but that's not what happened. Instead, he asked why I was being so weird about the pool incident and said everyone was just trying to have fun. When I tried explaining how his actions made me feel unsafe, he dismissed it and said I needed to lighten up and learn to take a joke. I kept my cool and I told him firmly that trying to force someone into water when they've repeatedly said no isn't a joke. It's disrespectful and potentially dangerous. He scoffed and changed the subject to some upcoming baseball game. My wife and I have decided to take a break from hanging out with Dave for a while. Anna completely supports this decision now that she understands how serious this was for me. We're planning to spend more time with friends who respect boundaries instead. I'm relieved that my wife and I are on the same page now, even if Dave still doesn't get it. Sometimes you realize which relationships are worth putting work into and which ones might need to be reconsidered.
I haven't forgiven Anna yet. Sorry. She said, she thought I was just being stubborn about swimming and that Dave was trying to lighten the mood. Why? Maybe think to yourself, why was he being stubborn? Well, there's a reason.
Yeah, but it sounds like she didn't fully understand his fear of the water.
Okay, but there's a reason people say no. Like, people, if they want to have fun, they will go in. If they don't want to, they will say no. Like, why can't people take no for no?
Agreed.
Like, I just don't like that she said that. That she just thought I was being stubborn. Okay. Well, and yes, if I was, like, yeah, I am being stubborn because I don't want to go for a reason.
I think she was thinking it was more of like, I just don't feel like swimming right now. I don't want to swim. Not, I'm actually frightened to go in the pool. I feel like there's a difference there.
I still think both of those situations, like, should be respected.
It would be, I feel like with your drinking thing, it would be like you saying you don't want to drink and me not knowing that the reason you don't want to drink is because you get heart palpitations behind it. And then I'm just like, oh, come on, drink or whatever. Like, is that kind of
No,
relatable?
Actually, I think with drinking, if people say no, I don't think you should pressure them at all. Like,
I'm not talking about drinking. I'm talking about I'm trying to reference your example that you gave. Like I'm saying, with your example, like when people ask you to drink and stuff, I say no, it gives her heart palpitations, and I tell them to back the fuck off and not to keep asking you. But if I didn't know that was the reason, it was more of just like you didn't feel like drinking that night, then there'd be less.
I think that's still a good enough reason. I don't feel like drinking tonight. Even if I did drink, I still think no is no. I don't think you should be pressuring anybody ever. I don't like that.
Yeah, okay. I agree.
Do you?
I'm just trying to it sounds like she didn't know that he was genuinely terrified of it.
Okay, but yes, my point is she was saying that she thought that he was just being stubborn.
Yeah.
No is still no. It doesn't matter what the reason.
Correct.
Okay.
Where's the line?
The line is at no. The line is at no.
I'm a car salesman. You don't take no for the first answer. Where's the line? I feel like every situation is different for certain things.
Okay. For a sale, that is completely different.
I feel like there's other things. How many times have you asked your mom to bring something and she's like, no, don't bring anything. And then you insist. And then you end up bringing something. So I feel like every situation is different. You can't just say the one no and that's it.
Okay.
Where's the line? Every situation is different.
Discomfort.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So I'm just saying that from the wife's perspective, it sounds like she didn't know how much discomfort there was. She thought he was just being stubborn because he didn't feel like swimming.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
I feel like the line moves per different situations. Okay, back to you.
All right.